Hey guys, it's Lizzie here. Today I'm going to show you how to create a full coverage look which is very suitable for if you suffer from acne. As you can see, this is my skin with no makeup on whatsoever. So I've had acne since I was about 19 or 20. I'm 24 now, and it's mainly on the bottom half of my face. It does leave quite a lot of scars, like very dark purple red marks on my skin that take a very long time to fade. That's if they fade at all. So at the moment my skin is reasonably clear in terms of there's not many spots, but there's a lot of sebaceous cysts and there's still all the scars that I feel I need to cover. So today I'm going to show you how I do that. And I also have very dry skin, so these products that I'll be using today will sort of help to add moisture back into my skin as well, to stop it looking so cakey and things like that. So firstly I'm going to start off with a primer, and there's a few I like to use and I'll show you which ones are my favourite. They're all from Bare Minerals, and the first one would be the Prime Time Neutralizing Cream. It's a yellow based product, so it helps to counteract the redness in my skin. And there's also the Prime Time in Fair, which is relatively new, and it's just a tinted BB cream that sort of helps to add a very thin layer of coverage. But the one I'll be using today is the Complexion Rescue, which is tinted hydration gel cream, and it basically I find that it doesn't cling to any of the dry areas down here. It adds a sort of light layer of coverage, and it really just moisturises my skin, so it's perfect for applying quite a heavy duty foundation. So I'll be applying this with my hands. Make sure you've washed your hands, that they're clean, especially if you are someone that suffers from acne. You don't want to be adding more bacteria to your skin. So I'll just apply a thin layer all over. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to go in with a product just to add some radiance to the skin, really, because we're going to be using a full coverage foundation. It can often look slightly matte or flat, and as much as I'd want that where the acne is and where the sebaceous cysts are, to sort of make them look less 3D, I don't need that necessarily at the top part of my face where my skin is a lot clearer. So for that I'm going to be using a product by Lush, and it's called Feeling Younger, and it's basically like a radiant gel cream that I don't know if you'll be able to see. It's very shimmery, has gold undertones, and it just is rather reflective and it's quite pretty. So I'm going to be applying that in my forehead and on the tops of my cheeks. Okay, so the next thing I'll be doing is applying my foundation. Now, like I mentioned, I'll be using a full coverage foundation, but doing it in several thin layers to build it up where I need the coverage. There's a few I choose from. I like the Kat Von D's Lock It Tattoo foundation, and I use the shade 44. That's one of their lightest shades. And I find with this that it lasts all day. It's a very matte finish and it doesn't really transfer, which is quite nice. I also like the Bare Minerals Original foundation. I use the shade C10 in Fair, which is their lightest shade. And that one's fantastic because I can also use it as a concealer under my eyes and sort of build it up where I need it to be. But when my skin is really dry, this isn't so suitable because it is still a powder at the end of the day, but it isn't actually that powdery. Once it sets and it blends in and the minerals melt with the heat of your skin, it can be quite, it's more creamy than what you would think. But today I'll be using Estee Lauder's Double Wear Foundation, which I've only started using recently, and I just find it's absolutely fantastic. It lasts all day, and I can wipe my face and find that it doesn't come off and it doesn't rub off on my clothes if I'm putting, say, a jumper on or something like that, or if I blow my nose it doesn't really come off. So it's just absolutely fantastic, and it really does last a long time. The problem with it though is that it doesn't have a pump, it's just a bottle, so do be careful when you pour it out that you don't just spill it everywhere. So I'm just going to pour a tiny bit on the back of my hand. And then I'm going to take a buffing brush and just blend that into my skin. A really thin amount at first. Okay, so that's one thin layer of the product, and as you see, it has very good coverage just as a very thin layer. And what I find with this particular foundation is that it does set itself after a few minutes, so there isn't necessarily a need to powder it, which is quite important for me as I have quite dry skin. I tend to be really selective about where I powder, as opposed to just generically powdering all over my face to set my foundation, because I find that can be a bit too heavy for me. So what I'm now going to do is go back over the areas that need the extra coverage with the same brush, just concentrating on the bottom half of my face. So now that's done, I've applied 2 layers of that foundation over my face and I'm pretty happy with the coverage. What I'm going to do next is apply some concealer in the areas where I feel I need a little bit more. So for that I'm going to actually be using another foundation. It's the Vichy Dermablend concealer stick. Now you might have seen their adverts there with the Zombie Boy, is that his name? The guy that's fully covered in tattoos, and his face is tattooed like a skull and his head and all the rest, and he was in their sort of commercial where he's completely covered in this foundation and then they end up washing it off him and you can see what his skin actually looks like. So it's very full coverage, it's a stick foundation, and I'll be using that just in the areas where I need the extra coverage. So I'm going to be using a flat buffing brush for this, and we're going to put some, just pinpoint it on the areas where you need a little bit more. So after applying my concealer in all the areas where I felt I needed a bit of extra coverage, I went around and just sort of buffed the outside edges of the concealer to blend it into the foundation. I then went on and applied a cream blusher, and I used one by the Body Shop. It's in a soft pink and there are some gold reflex in it, and I find that that just adds a bit more warmth to my skin. And then I applied some bronzer to my cheeks and around my hairline and also on my temples, just to add a bit more colour to my skin. So just one last point I wanted to make about acne is that no amount of makeup is going to cover any parts that are lumpy or bumpy at all. So for instance, with the sebaceous cysts I have, no amount of makeup is going to make them flat. But you can draw less attention to them, you can help with the discoloration, and you can, by adding more shimmery glowing products elsewhere, you can draw attention to other parts of your face. So I generally find when my acne is at its worst, and because it's down at the bottom part of my face, I won't tend to wear lipstick at those times, and I'll wear heavier eye makeup to draw the attention to the top half of my face where the skin's a bit clearer. So thank you very much for watching today, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, bye bye.